Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and we're back with the Total War Warhammer video. Today we're going to discuss the possible Wood Elf portion of the upcoming DLC pack. So without further ado, let's begin. So yesterday's news came out of a surprise, didn't it? In all honesty, even I wasn't expecting that, but here we are. The Wood Elves will finally be getting their Old World update with a cross-game DLC. This is fantastic as they really did need an update. The image on screen right now is showing us more or less what to expect from this DLC and patch cycle. And since we know pretty much nothing about what Game 2 race will be featured here, in this video I'd like to focus on just the Wood Elves. Mainly because it looks like they're getting two lots of stuff, and we'll get to that in due course. To make this video a bit easier to digest, we're going to divide it into two parts. Firstly, we'll talk about the DLC itself, specifically the Wood Elf side, and what we can expect from it. And then secondly, we'll talk about the possible big FLC that they were hyping up, that not only requires Game 2 and the DLC, but also Game 1 and the Realm of the Wood Elves DLC too. But let's just jump in with a possible start location for the Wood Elves in the Eye of the Vortex campaign. As it stands, there is currently only one Wood Elf settlement in the Eye of the Vortex campaign, that of the Bowmen of Orion, which can be found in the Southlands. Honestly, I think this is a decent enough area to start at. It's got a lot of possible different enemies which will make your campaign feel quite varied. The last thing you want is to be fighting too much of the same. However, if we look at the map of the world routes itself, which is shown on screen right now, there's a lot of potential for different locations. Strictly speaking about the Eye of the Vortex campaign, a Wood Elf faction can pretty much just fit anywhere. However, when taking into account the Mortal Empires campaign map, then things become a bit more difficult, as well, you know, it's kinda bloated in certain areas due to the size restrictions. And just putting it out there, please no more legendary characters or start locations in Mortal Empires Lustria. It's extremely bloated enough as it is due to its very cramped location. In my personal opinion, I'd prefer to see the Bowmen of Orion location to become the playable area. However, if any of you guys have any other suggestions, please let me know in the comments below. But with a possible starting location discussed, we should now move on to possible legendary lords. And it wouldn't be fair to talk about the Bowmen of Orion without talking about Orion himself. Yep, this was a character way back in the day, during the 1980s. Yeah, there's not a lot of lore for this character as this was a very early time for Warhammer in general, but there is some stuff to be noted. Orion is a Wood Elf who had a lust for adventure. This took him down to the lands known as the Southlands. There he spent many years campaigning, eventually losing an eye to an evil wizard known as Dornbast. Over the years he grew sullen, brooding over the loss of his eye and vitality, and eventually he just disappeared. Popular legend has it that he went in search of his lost eye, but that's pretty much it. That's all we literally know about this character. While I highly doubt that this will be the legendary character for the Wood Elves, I figured that this would probably be the only time in the history of this channel where I would actually be able to mention him. There's nothing really special about this character at all, barring the fact that he's so old, to be honest. However, you have to be prepared just in case, considering the fact that, well, Gorst himself had what, 2 lines of lore, and he got added in, so, well, yeah. There are indeed a lot of possible Wood Elf characters, but it's probably best if we focus around those which honestly do seem like they have more of a chance. Firstly, we'll look towards Nath the Prophetess. She was known to be an arcane wizard, which translated for her being able to use battle magic. Battle magic being commonly accepted as the 8 common laws of magic. Something which back in the day was not normally seen with the Wood Elves. They had their own law of magic. Don't worry, we're going to cover that specific law a little bit later in the video. She and her students are known to use items known as divining rods, which were used to create a web of magical protection around the forests of Loren. Not much was actually known about this character as she was only featured in the 4th edition rulebook. Now it does mention that she has been protecting the forests of Loren. That itself is in the Old World, which is in the lands of the Empire. But who's to say that she can't journey south to the Southlands, and then in the Mortal Empires campaign she could easily be moved to the Empire. However, it would probably be better off if she was still in the Southlands. More on that later. Another possibility would be Draicha. Now this is a rather interesting character, as she is a briar maven who is completely and utterly insane. People believe that she lost her mind during one of the times that the Shadowgave was defeated. However, she's always been a bit peculiar. You see, Draicha despises elves and fondly remembers the time when Athel Loren did not have their taint, and she has actively worked against them in any way that she could. Now Draicha has travelled long and far, and it could very well be possible that we could see her in the Southlands. What she could be doing in the south, however, is rather unknown, but I'd imagine that she'd have some unique army, where she would only be able to recruit treemen, no elves whatsoever. Sure, it wouldn't be the most entertaining of forces, but it might present for something interesting if they start creating new units for it. Next we have the Sisters of Twilight, Nestra and Arahan. These are two legendary characters that would feature as one. These sisters are incredibly different from each other, representing a sort of yin and yang situation. However, this is a very massive fan favourite, and I'm sure that Creative Assembly is aware of this. The sisters are linked to each other, and it is speculated that they will not suffer true death unless both are killed at the same time. Both of these elves are immensely powerful in their own right, but it is when they are together that they are known to be a force that is nigh unstoppable. I honestly believe that these are the strongest contenders for a paid-for DLC Legendary Lord. While there are a decent amount of possible other characters, these have generally been seen as fan favourites, and such a big DLC should probably focus around fan favourites rather than more obscure characters. The backlash might be a bit too big. In regards to missing units, the Wood Elves really aren't missing that much from the tabletop. Here is an informatic post from Squid Gang on Reddit from about 2 years ago, I believe, which shows off everything that's pretty much missing. The Spellweaver Lord, which is just a lord that's a spellcaster, the Glade Captain, which is a melee/ranged hero, the Shadow Dancer, which is a powerful melee hero, a Great Stag Mount for characters, and finally the Elven Chariot. There isn't really that much missing, but then again, if Creative Assembly wanted to go deeper into more obscure lore, nothing's really stopping them from finding some stuff that only had 1 or 2 lines of lore and create a unit from it. Even then, they could even work with Games Workshop to create whole new units. This pretty much covers the Wood Elf DLC side, obviously not taking into account objectives, mechanics and playstyle, as we know next to nothing about this possible DLC at this very moment. Now you might be wondering why I haven't mentioned Ariel until right now, and my reasoning is rather simple. We are aware that we're going to get an additional legendary lord for the Wood Elves, but players will only get access to this character if they own the following: Warhammer 1, Warhammer 2, the Realm of the Wood Elves DLC, and whatever this DLC ends up being called. This character will only be available in the Mortal Empires campaign, which makes the most sense for this character to be Ariel herself. Ariel is the Queen of Athel Loren and presides over the realm together with Orion. Ariel acquired the aspects of Isha, the ancient elven goddess of nature, through the strange magic of the Oak of Ages at the same time as Orion gained the aspects of Kurnos. She herself is tied to the Oak of Ages, and while she has been known to travel far from Athel Loren, it's never for too long, so it makes sense for Ariel to be this character. If she's only available in the Mortal Empires, that means that she would probably most likely start in the Oak of Ages, or Athel Loren in general. This is obviously of course depending what the rework entails of, but it makes sense for the Oak of Ages to be her starting location. It seems that this FLC will be rather large too, because alongside her will be new units, unit variants, heroes and spell lores. As far as I can speculate in regards to new units, since Ariel herself is an aspect of nature, it would make sense if now they started implementing animals. The Wood Elves way back in the day had a decent amount of animal units that they could bring onto the tabletop. These animals were led by Beastmasters, and the animals themselves were bears, boars, warhounds and wildcats. Sure, that's not really a lot of unit variation, but there is a basis there. Then if we look towards the unit variants, this is where Creative Assembly can have a more creative role, no pun intended of course, where Ariel's armies could have unique looking Wood Elf units in the similar sense to how Eltharion has an army exclusive to him. Going back to the possible animal units here, the new unique hero could be the Wood Elf Beastmaster. This would make sense if they're going to introduce animals. Once again, obviously this is purely speculative, so until Creative Assembly start dropping some more hints, we won't be too sure. And lastly, you'll notice that the development blog image mentions new spell laws. So the Wood Elves on the tabletop had access to various different spell laws, including those that were only released in Total War Warhammer 2. Those laws are the following: the Law of High Magic, which is commonly found among the High Elves, and the Law of Dark Magic, which is commonly found among the Dark Elves. So it makes sense for the Wood Elves to have access to this too. But that's not all. You see, way back in the day, the Wood Elves also had access to their own exclusive Law of Magic, known as the Law of Athel. This is what can be seen on screen right now. We'll go over these spells on how they acted on the tabletop and see how they could be translated into the Total War series. First up, we have Tree Singing. The mage encourages the spirits of Athel to make the forest shift and begin moving. The spell may be cast on any wood within 18 inches of the caster, provided there are no enemy models within it. The spell makes the chosen wood move d3 plus 1 inches in a direction nominated by the caster before rolling. The wood can contain friendly units, but the units must be entirely within the woods. Friendly troops within the woods are moved with it. Alternatively, the spell can be used to inflict d6 strength 5 hits on a single enemy unit. So on the tabletop, this spell did two things. It could either move terrain or act as a magic missile. Unfortunately, at the moment, terrain moving seems a bit too much for the Total War engine, so more than likely it would be a magic missile. Next, we have Fury of the Forest. Twisted branches and thorns burst into spontaneous growth, attacking the enemies of Athel. This spell may be cast upon a single unengaged enemy unit within 18 inches. If successfully cast, the spell causes d6 strength 4 hits. This could easily be translated into a form of AoE damage spell. Nothing too special, but enough to do some sort of damage. Next is the Hidden Path. Using this spell, the caster moves a single friendly unit out of the corporal world and beyond the reach of mortals. This spell may be cast upon a single unengaged friendly unit within 18 inches. If the spell is successful, the unit treats all terrain as open ground and cannot be harmed by non-magical missile weapons until the start of the caster's next magic phase. Honestly, the way I see this being translated is just turning the units ethereal for a short amount of time. Next is the Twilight Host. This was a pretty basic spell. It gave a unit fear, or if the unit already had fear, it gave them terror. I think it could work exactly the same in Total War Warhammer. Next is Ariel's Blessing, another ranged spell which gave any unit that this was casted upon the regeneration special rule. This could easily be translated into a sort of heal. And lastly is the Call of the Hunt. The spirit of Kurnos fills the target of the spell, infusing them with a part of his savagery, anger and power. This spell may be cast upon a single friendly unit within 18 inches and may be targeted onto units engaged in close combat. If in close combat, the unit gains 1 attack. However, if not in close combat, the unit moves 2d6 inches forwards to the nearest enemy target. This could easily be translated into Total War Warhammer by giving them an attack and speed boost as an augment spell. It's actually rather disappointing looking at 6th edition over here. The Law of Athel itself wasn't really that impressive, but obviously as these spells need to be translated into the Total War series, they could be changed around and made a bit more impressive, you know what I mean? Not so lackluster. But I think this is a good basis for the DLC and the special FLC attached to it. Obviously we'll find out more information when Creative Assembly decide to drop some, but until then I guess we can all keep speculating. Let me know what you guys think, and if you have any different ideas in mind in the comments below, and we can start a bit of a discussion. Before we end this video, I just want to say I might be a bit slow in replying to comments because, well, this news was completely new to me, so I've had to rework what my system was for the next coming videos, and I'm literally recording this at 4 AM at the moment, with the video being scheduled to be released at 10 AM. So yeah, fun times, fun times. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various different social media links such as Facebook, Instagram and Discord, where you can get in contact with the Great Book team. Also in the description section below is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Using our special link and also the special code, which is also in the description below, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons, your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A special thank you to Ryan Bertsche and Gibraltar LUSC for subscribing to us at our fame level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule and VSVasan for subscribing to us at our king level. Honestly, we can't thank you guys enough. The money earned from Patreon is going directly back into the channel, slowly upgrading little bits and bobs, just trying to get to a higher level of content for you guys. And a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing and commenting on these videos. The support has been insane lately and honestly we can't be more than excited. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.